to the Ashes to Rubies conversational podcast on life and recovery. My name is Vicky.
And I'm John. Good morning. I was just looking at your bird feeder. It's a beautiful bird feeder, like a home, like a crafted. It was actually crafted by a guy down the street. He makes bird houses. It's beautiful. It's like a chalet for birds, and it's a feeder, not a home.
It's a feeder of rats.
It's a feeder. It's a feeder from the devil.
So I no longer put any bird food into the bird feeder.
No bird seed food in the feeder. Why?
Because the rats. I was outside at dark watching the dog, and we're calling the dog in, and a rat jumped out of the bird feeder.
Like a foot away from you.
Deck.
How do you know it was a rat, though? It could have been a squirrel.
Nope. It wasn't a squirrel. Did not have a long tail.
I've never seen a squirrel at night, so I don't know if they... Do squirrels play at night? Or are they not nocturnal? Rats are nocturnal, I believe. Although I did catch a rat in my barbecue once. I lit it, and it was scary. Rats.
Yeah, you can clap your hands real loud and scare away the rats, but if you don't clean up the garbage pile, or if you continue to put bird seed in your bird feeder, then the rats are just going to keep coming back.
This, my friends, is a LifeLab teaching. Literally, that is a LifeLab teaching, the very first LifeLab. You can clap your hands and the rats will be scared away. But if you still have a reason for them to come back, then you will be tormented, harassed, and addiction will ravage your life.
And I, for one, don't want rats living in my backyard.
Everybody, why is everybody walking around?
The dogs are so frantic once we start recording.
Fingernails on the ground. I'm sorry if that's annoying. All right. Hey, we got our daily devotional. Thank you for joining us today. Oh, wow. Identifying fear.
You say that like you're surprised, like you didn't actually put the title on.
I just forgot, though, and we were talking about rats. I wasn't leading into fear of... I don't think you have a fear of rats.
I 100% am...
Do you have a fear of something?
I have a concern that rats would enter my home. And I'm not okay with that.
I believe there is no proof of a rat in our home. No, but do you have it's not fear. A phobia. Do you have a phobia?
No.
I dislike bees. I've been stung too many times.
I am unwilling to let
a
phobia control my actions. So anything that, like, I don't like heights.
You've never had a phobia?
I don't like heights.
What?
Oh, no, I don't like heights. Don't you remember when we went to Toronto and we went to the CN Tower. There's a glass floor.
Yeah.
And I could not stand on the glass floor. Like, I'm scared of heights, but I won't let that stop me from doing something. I wouldn't stand on the glass floor, but I still go up the CN Tower. I know that I'm scared of heights, but I'll still do a scary ride. You made me go on that drop tower. Like, I think I actually peed my pants.
You had a little pee, and you couldn't scream. We were at the bottom.
I was so scared,
and you were like,
that I cried.
You had no breath, and you were just like...
I was just crying. Like, I was just crying. And then I went to a zip line one time. The first time I did a zip line was, I was somewhere else. I was in Ohio, and they had a zip line, and you walked to like the top of the zip line, and so there was like a very small tower that you had to climb up, and then it was off of a cliff basically, and then the zip line like went down because there was like a cliff, and I was like, I'm very scared, and the woman behind me, she's like, I'm so scared of heights, and I was like, yeah, me too.
I think everybody should be scared.
Like, I do not feel good around heights. But I'm not willing.
Do you feel like when there's heights around that there's a little monster behind you that would push you off? Or that would draw you off? I always felt
my feet feel really weird, and I feel like
feel like what if you
jump? My feet could leave. Like, I feel like my feet might not hold me.
I always thought there was some weird thing.
It's the weirdest feeling.
That could pull me over or push me over.
Yeah, my feet feel really strange.
I think I had a phobia I would say I had a phobia of needles, but I don't anymore.
And at first, like, it's not like I want to prove that I don't want to prove anything, but I just realized that, like, I don't want to be controlled by, like, that kind of fear. And so I did the zip line. Like, I was like, no, I'm going to be scared. I'm going to do the zip line. Same thing in China. My mom and I got, like, way up high on this mountain, we're walking on this like little rocky path that's like crumbling in places, and both of us are like, yeah, I don't like heights.
I think that's a healthy fear.
Everybody doesn't
I don't
like
know
heights.
if that's a phobia. But what's the difference between a fear and a phobia?
I don't know.
Like a phobia would
I think a phobia you actually
specific.
couldn't. I think a phobia you actually couldn't just make yourself do it.
It would limitate you.
Yeah,
limitate
like you can't just actually will yourself to.
Yeah, people
just
have phobias of certain animals or elevators.
Yeah,
or...
and so they can't just be like, "Oh, I'm going to do it anyway." I think it's more serious than that.
And so it's a controlling fear. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
So I don't have a phobia.
Do you want to read it, or do you want me to read it? It's your day.
Oh, it's my day. The chief activator of our defects has been self-centered fear. When I feel uncomfortable, irritated, or depressed, I look for fear. This evil and corroding thread is the root of my distress. Fear of failure, fear of others' opinions, fear of harm, and many other fears. I have found a higher power who does not want me to live in fear, and as a result, the experience of recovery in my life is freedom and joy. I am no longer willing to live with the multitude of character defects that characterized my life while I was drinking. Step 7 is my vehicle to freedom from these defects. I pray for help in identifying the fear underneath the defect, and then I ask God to relieve me of that fear. This method works for me without fail and is one of the greatest miracles of my life in recovery.
So it's literally the power of God.
Yeah.
So wherever we have fear, there's always going to be fear. Wherever we go, like there's that emotion isn't bad. It might be unpleasant, but if it's controlling us, then that's somewhere where we're excluding God, because God's perfect love casts out all fear. So it can be, I like how they said, when we feel uncomfortable, irritated, or depressed, I look for fear. Those are good symbols or metrics of seeing where fear is.
So, and it's interesting because I was just talking to a friend in recovery, and I was just asking her, have you noticed that your tolerance for discomfort has increased? Because I had this conversation with another friend about tolerance for discomfort. And so I fall on the side of like actually have like a really high threshold for discomfort, in the sense of like I could in my lifetime, I fit a lot of stuff under that carpet. You know, I swept a ton of stuff under the carpet, didn't deal with it. I had a very high tolerance for like things being really awful in my life.
But
and
addicts
putting up with it.
Discomfort.
Substance abuse, people who have substance issues, drinking, alcohol, substances, especially opioids, food addicts, I've noticed, have like this extremely low tolerance for discomfort.
We dislike comfort.
Like
we love comfort, and what that, like when I drink, I feel it throughout my whole body, and I'm like, oh, okay, I feel comfortable now.
And so it's so interesting to me because I know for a fact that my friends who are like substance addicts, if you ask them to do something and they don't want to do it, you don't have to worry that they're going to say yes, even though they don't want to do it, because they are not going to do something that they do not want to do. Whereas for me, I'm like, oh, I will. Like, I want to people please. I want to, and now this is like, these aren't hard and fast rules, obviously, but this was just like an observation that I had. And I'm just coming back to this idea of like, in a healthy way, because I think actually like there's a healthy element of discomfort. And for me, like I swept things under the carpet. That's not healthy at all. It's not like I dealt with things in a healthy way. I had a ton of discomfort in my life and I didn't do anything different. That's not healthy.
So it's a fear of not getting the need met of being comforted. And so God is our comforter, but this is what perpetuates the addiction cycle, is this need for comfort, and alcohol or drugs or food or whatever it is perpetuates that cycle because it's so powerful. So
initially when we take away our substance, and for me, I think for me, you know, I did experience this when my job ended and I was learning to like live differently. We take away this routine, the way of living that has given us our comfort, our eating habits, our, you know, the go-tos that we've gone to. For me, a lot of it was like escaping into activity and doing things for people and feeling good about myself because I'm so helpful.
And so as long as you're busy.
As long as I'm busy. And so I think a lot of us
feel the fear.
Yeah, a lot of us experience that in COVID of like all of a sudden we have all this discomfort
because there's so much time and space.
And we're alone with ourselves or our family.
My first experience of fear, because I never felt it unless it was a phobia of needles when I was little. But when I was in treatment in 2005, they talked about this fear, this underlying fear. And God actually showed me that my whole foundation was so crumbly and it was all built, my whole being, my whole persona was built on fear. And in the class, I started laughing. Like I started laughing because I looked so ridiculous. My whole life, I was going around punching people to prove that I had no fear. I would jump off roofs into pools. I would
actually
reckless
punching
things.
People.
No, yeah, and I had.
This is not metaphorically.
I walked around with my chest puffed up. I made sure that you knew that I had no fear, and I was quick on the draw. And I was like, I was confronted in that class, or a mirror was shown by the Spirit of God that says, look, your whole life, you're fearful, you're scared, you're a little child, and you're so scared, and you don't let anybody near you. And when anybody comes in love, you punch them in the throat, and you see, I'm unlovable. And so my fears confirmed all of the voices of the enemy. All of my wounding was confirmed by fear.
And I don't have to work on my fear. It's not me that has to overcome my fear. Oh my God, I need to work on my relationship with God. I need to be intentional about constant contact with God.
As God comes in.
And he will remove my fear. My fear will be removed. And
if you look at God's perfect love, casts out all fear. It's a process. So my meditation today is, where am I being controlled by fear? Like, where is fear still in a part of my life? Because I think I don't think we perfect it. I think it's a progress, a journey. So yeah, I leave you with that. Where is fear cropping up in your life? Where are you feeling uncomfortable, irritated, or depressed? And so I want to look at that throughout my day, and I will touch base with you later on today to see where those things came up. What's the fear? All right, have a great afternoon. Wash your hands, keep the peace, and be of good behavior, and we'll see you tomorrow.